Boom. Much faster than Hangouts. Because
Sweet.
we're already live, buddy. We're already
Nice.
live. All right, folks. Let me stretch. And get myself going here. A little stretching action. Anyway, everybody, welcome. It is the notorious, glorious V the Gorilla Economist, and we are joined with my main man El Cuco, where we're bringing the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out at roguenews.com. Follow us on Twitter at Real Rogue News, and Rogue News on every single podcasting app known to humanity. We're everywhere you want us to be, plus a bag of chips. And also check out our sponsor, mycbdedibles.com. Our mycbdedibles.com. Our paid sponsors here. Go and support us by going over there and getting yourself something delectable and edible, whether it is a delicious cup of coffee or the almond truffles, the almond coconut truffles, which are to die for. Or you want to get a treat for your doggy, a little pooch. You can get that too over at cbdedibles.com. And also, absolutely delectable vapes that won't kill you and is formulated by a Michelin star chef. How about them apples? Huh? Michelin star chef. And also check out the Patreon of yours truly. Join it. That's where we give some inside information. I broke down the whole entire Middle Eastern gambit, giving you the geopolitical analysis like nobody else's business. The one and only Senor Garia himself. Check it out. The link is holy crap. You know what? I forgot to put the link in. I'm the worst. I'll put the link in later, guys. I apologize. Anyway, with that being said, I think the link is Patreon/the Gorilla. And that's spelled GUERRILLA. There you go.
Boom.
Yes. With that being said, Siege, what's crack-a-lacking, brother?
Hey, V. Good morning. Doing great. Just getting in a little bit of a chill mode, relax mode, work mode. Blend it all together, V. Got to blend it all together. Keep it live.
Hey, ¿dónde está tequila? That's the chill mode right there. Where is it?
Tequila es mañana con tequila con jalapenos.
I saw that picture you posted with the jalapeno. What is it? What's that you drink? It had jalapenos in it.
Yeah, so it was a blend. It's called the Slow Burn margarita.
Slow burn. I like it already.
Slow burn. Yeah, and they put jalapeno, and then I think the tequila also has a little bit of a hint in it, but it just very distinctive. And yeah, so it I'd never had it before, and it was on the menu, and I asked the bartender, I said, "Hey, how is that? You know, is it tasty?" And he said, "Absolutely. Once you have it, you won't have a margarita a different way." So long story short, yeah, it was good. And then he informed me on Thursdays it's actually their happy hour $5 special, which is a great deal.
Really?
And you can find that at Firebird's restaurant.
Firebird's. Nice. I like it, man. I like it a lot. Siege. Lots of things going on, my friend.
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, I think I keep coming back. You remember how last year, how we talked a lot about like solutions-based content, right? Like to, be a little bit differentiate us between the doom and gloom, the world is ending. And, although it's difficult sometimes not to listen and follow some of that, I think in part is there are some solutions based of things individuals, could be doing, right now. And one of the concerns that's been coming up quite a bit is just in terms of the diminishing agriculture productions. The Nebraska, Arkansas, several areas were just decimated this year with flooding. And now we have a huge early cold front. So the farmers planted late going in. Many didn't even plant at all. We had the tariffs, which, that has not been dealt with yet in terms of the agriculture bill that, China said that they would do. And now they're saying, no, we're not going to until the tariffs are removed. So there's a lot of concern right now regarding agriculture and U.S. farmers. And so now with this early winter hitting in a good portion of the country, they're really worried about these crops and are they going to even be salvageable at all? So I think that food supply thing is a concern, but primarily is that how long can small farmers continue to survive in this market, this economy. Now, granted, I know there's subsidies and everything, and farmers have been, propped up for a long time in terms of helping them and loans and all that kind of good stuff. But you're talking about the food supply, and you're talking about potential for shortages in the coming year. So I think it is a real concern that people should start paying attention to.
Yeah. People are talking about the grand solar minimum, and it's pretty interesting. You have somebody in the chat that says, "Let them eat derivatives," and it's pretty funny because we're entering a grand solar minimum, and the question becomes, what's going to happen if the food prices get up higher? And folks, let me tell you something. There's not a thing. There's pretty much there's not a thing out there that hasn't been financialized. And one of the things that that hasn't been financialized or has been financialized that people need to utilize, and I've told this to a lot of people, CJ, is weather derivatives. How do you offset it? I mean, think about it. One of the things that Dex has showed us is that there's this thing about like for instance, hack. It's a derivative. Okay, it's basically a composite index, basically called hack. That every time when there's a potential for a cyber attack, all of a sudden the hack starts going up, and every single time without fail. And then there's a cyber attack or some sort of data breach somewhere. The same way, it's pretty funny with weather derivatives. Weather derivatives start going high when there's, again, cataclysmic weather that occurs. And one of the things I advise people, look, there's very little things that the average person can do in terms of generated income. Because right now, you have to take advantage of the bubble economy. You have to take advantage of the fact that a massive bubble is being blown. And then the entire thing is this, is once you take advantage of it, is you have to utilize that leverage in order to generate the income, in order for you to offset any sort of rise in the price of food and or energy, which are the two biggest things that people face. It's some tough times, and I'm telling you right now, CJ, it's never lack of resources that put people in a bad predicament, especially in the Western world, especially in the developed world, excuse me. It's lack of resourcefulness. And that is one thing that we have to always recognize and understand, Siege. But it's going to be interesting. See how this plays out. I think there will be some disruptions. I think it's going to be like cataclysmic end of the world, like all these doom porn idiots that are out there spewing about. No, I think I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to wind up paying a little bit more for strawberries. Instead of $2.99 or $1.99 a pound, I'm going to be paying $4.99 a pound, $5.99 a pound. I think I'm going to be paying more for for pineapples or whatnot, right? But I also know that it's going to disrupt a lot of the farmers, especially a lot of these farmers who are out there with, soy fields, wheat, this, that, and the other. And I know, prices on certain products and certain produce will go up. Certain plants just don't fare well in certain climates and in certain temperatures, so we got to wait and see. And I think the only way you can wait and see is not to just sit around and do nothing and sit on your hands, but actually go out there and generate as much income as possible. That's always the answer, man.
Well, another option as well is take a look at some of the really cool technology in regards to indoor aquaponic systems and sustainability in terms of self-sustainability. There's some really cool systems that are not too crazy expensive to do indoor food supplies in regards to grows. So that's something as well in terms of, these things are going to be occurring. If there's going to be shortages or prices are escalating, does someone have the potential of space to do it? And it doesn't require a huge amount of space. There's the vertical aquaponic systems that allows people to grow indoors, healthier, for you. So that's another consideration. There's a lot of thoughts of why is this happening on, and is this on purpose in terms of affecting the small farmers? And granted that for the most part there are bigger farmers and then large farms, but the concern is just the corporate takeover of the small farms and the larger farms as well, by some of these chemical companies. The UN Agenda 2030, where they do control the food supply. So some of these things are reality and a concern that literally there are farmers that are going bankrupt consistently regarding this. It's a risky industry. However, we need that food supply. So there is reasons to concern. And then, what you alluded to is trying to find ways to potentially profit off that, which is definitely an option. But then also taking a look in terms of your own household, and do you have that skill set? I know that some communities around me, they have a common area where they do common grows, which I think is community grows, which I think is pretty cool. That that they have a little plot of land and the community goes out there and does some of those things. So I think all those things are important to consider as we navigate and move through these times. And this is an article from Blacklisted News from Michael Snyder, who he does the Economic Collapse blog, correct? Is that right, Michael Snyder?
Yes. Yeah. So he does Economic Collapse blog and End of the American Dream.
Yeah, so he's been following this quite a bit, and so again, there is reason for concern, and then in part, what happens to prices specifically in general. When we start going to the grocery store and seeing the inflation occurring there. So anyway, I thought it was just important to cover it and discuss it, B.
Absolutely, man. It seems like Amazon is getting into the election business, CJ. What the heck is that all about?
Here's where it starts getting really scary. You're talking about a company that is, jumping into cloud-based and...
can we just call them for what they are? It's a CIA front company. That's all it is.
So anyway, obviously, Amazon, in terms of their retail presence, everyone thinks, oh gosh, Amazon, making money hand over fist in terms of their online, when in fact it's more of like their cloud-based systems, the cloud of everything, right? With websites, with hosting, all those things that are occurring. And so, it's a massive data capture. And what's scary now is that, they've actually have been the past couple of years moving into U.S. elections and hosting the technologies in terms of the cloud computing, the ARM and the elections. And, they're going to push this as securing the systems. But I think at the end of the day, V, what we're seeing is that we already know that the deep state and the intelligence group have been grooming people across the country for elections, whether it's governor, all those things, because that's at the end of the day, that's their control mechanism, right? Is through the election system. But literally, by allowing these things to happen, potentially it may get to the point where candidates are already decided. Voting doesn't matter because all these things are put into place by allowing these massive corporations come in and have this influence. And again, I think this should be sending just, red flags up all over the place, especially with the national conversation about the hacking of our election systems. And, we said this way back in the day when this whole thing began with, the Russian narrative and Russia's hacking the U.S. elections, when in fact they were advocating more for Hillary during that time. But if the government moves forward and they say, hey, look, we don't care about the current system. What we're more concerned about is securing that system going forward. So we're going to deem the state, the federal elections, all of these things as government infrastructure. And therefore, we're going to base it out of the Department of Homeland Security. We're going to secure that entire systems under our networks. I mean, those are really red flags that we should just be setting up everywhere. And, again, that's just my personal opinion. But how do you think about that, in terms of Amazon and their election services and all that kind of good stuff?
I don't think it should ever be part of a private company at all. I think it should be a super secure, accountable government type server or cloud system, whatever, that's non-hackable and it's auditable. Uh, I mean, what would that look like? How would one build something out like that? I have no idea. I don't think a company like Amazon should ever be involved in something like that. AWS is it's too profound. A great deal of the internet is built on AWS servers. I don't like it, and I don't think it's the right move. And let's be honest here, Jeff Bezos. If you do any research into his past, the guy is, excuse me, he is part of the from Jump Street. He was an SES, Selective Employment Services employee. I think it was. SES was a major. SES is basically the deep state, and Bezos was given about $10 million back then to help him start Amazon, and since then he's been building out Amazon. Their stupid retail end of it doesn't make any kind of money. It makes no money. They make their money on AWS, Amazon Web Services. They make their money on cloud computing. They make their money on infrastructure. They make nothing on retail. Absolutely nothing. It's just there to eliminate competition and take and data mining. That's all it does. So, with that being said, I think it's a terrible idea. Siege.
Yeah, and look, a lot of focus on Google, right? Which they should be in terms of the censorship, the things that they're doing with the algorithms, controlling search engine results and all those things. But Amazon as well, if you take a look at the massive expansion that's happened with Amazon the past few years, everything from their delivery systems to their purchasing of Whole Foods, which we've discussed that before, their cloud-based systems. I mean, how big is too big in terms of the control mechanisms? And in part, what makes it difficult is that, Amazon basically gets subsidized from the federal government. So it's not a matter of a capitalist environment where there's a competitive environment that's a level playing field. You have one company that's getting massive amounts of money from the federal government to continue the operation, and now they're moving and gravitating towards all other aspects of controlling our lives, from what we purchase online to our healthcare system. We've shared that they did purchase the web, I can't remember, Pill Drop or whatever prescription management company was, where they mail prescriptions. So, we need to keep an eye on this. And I know that many people know this already in regards to Amazon, but just some alarm bells are starting to sound here in terms of their political involvement in the systems. And, literally we give companies like this that much power, then they can easily decide our elections for us, if that's not happening already.
Yeah, absolutely, man. If that's not happening already, considering all the nonsense, did you see the the Democratic debates last night? I mean, I didn't bother watching. I just saw the highlights from some of the contributors on YouTube who were posting the details.
I did. I tried to watch them with a very clear and open mind. I did. I swear I did. I did.
Oh man!
You know what? I'm going to be fair here. I'm not going to be too judgmental about some of the things that are said, and then 3 minutes into it, I'm like, oh, forget that noise. But yeah. I mean, I just don't think that the Democratic Party really is offering a whole lot. But I don't want to discredit too much of what they're saying in terms of some of the inequalities and some of the income disparities that have happened in the United States. And it's a message that I keep pushing out, and I've said this numerous times on various platforms, is that this whole idea, when you hear people say, hey, you know what, the Democrats, all they want to do is just give stuff away, free this, free that, free this and that. Well, what's the difference between the federal government currently in the system doing this same exact thing for the federal government, propping up the banks, propping up the automotive industry, all those things that are already occurring? And let's face it, our national healthcare system is completely broken. When people say, oh, the massive expansion in healthcare is primarily because of an aging population. I agree with that somewhat, but when we're seeing drugstores literally like on every other corner in America, and the primary growth and development we're seeing is in hospitals that are literally popping up everywhere with urgent care centers. It's such a profit driven mechanism that it does have to be. It's a difficult conversation. It's a hard conversation. That is access to healthcare. Is that a fundamental right? Is it what role, if any, should government be involved with it? But these are some very difficult questions that need to be asked. And I'm not saying I advocate for free healthcare. I don't think anything free is good, because all that happens is then people take advantage of it. But I think it could start with taking a look at the prescription industry. Not that I'm all about regulatory and things like that, but we all know we as Americans, we pay 2-3 times amount for our prescription medications, while overseas, the big pharma, they sell these things quite significantly cheaper than here. Mm-hmm. So that was one area that I'm like, hey, that's something. But they spent just so much time all about, we need to take down Trump. We need to take down Trump. That was what they're primarily fixated on. I do give some credit, I think, to the entrepreneur. I forget his name. Yang. Mm-hmm. He's got some pretty far-fetched ideas and everything, but he's definitely very intellectual. I think he's above par in terms of understanding the business aspect, business angle for some of these things. And the other thing too is just in regards to this universal income program, and debating whether universal income, minimum wage, how does automation play a part in this? But there's some pretty far-fetched ideas out there in regards to, like, Bernie Sanders, is one, in my opinion, he really shouldn't even be considered a candidate. Even
what? Are you kidding me, CJ? I am a candidate. I'm the only one out there saying that the 1% has to give back the 99% to the 3%.
Yeah, he wants to like guarantee government jobs for all. Like, he wants to have a program that everyone will have some type of a government job envisioned. And I have a friend, and we were posting back and forth a little bit last night. But it was odd. It was both party platforms is that there's no longer a anti-war platform for either one of these political parties. Neither one of them protests, wars or anything. They both have, completely sold out to the military industrial complex. Tulsi was the only one that was a little bit more outspoken about intervention policies, pointing out where everyone else was like, we've abandoned the Kurds, all this nonsense. And the other thing too, that was, that I didn't hear anyone specifically talk about was spending. That, majority of our problems is the size and scale of our government and the federal spending, and not one candidate up there said, hey, maybe we need to stop spending so much darn money and sending so much money overseas. So I hands down, I think Trump is probably going to win fairly easily with this election, but this cycle, the Democrats really aren't offering anything, any different thoughts other than again, just anti-Trump. There's nothing else there that they're really considering. The hard decisions in regards to healthcare, in regards to the jobs and everything. I really don't think that's the federal government's role, is to create economies and create markets. And that whole new green energy deal thing is potentially going to be devastating if they get some of these things passed and are like, hey, we're flipping everything to electric. It's the right thing to do. Just various opinions in regards to that, but we all know it's just to increase taxes, and again, just keep us all enslaved with taxation. V.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The whole thing that these idiots, statists don't realize, anything that involves government screws everything up. Anything that allows government to dictate price screws everything up, because at that point they wind up picking winners and losers and exacerbating the overall cost of everything and screwing everything up. Look at how they get involved in fucking colleges, man. It's just horrible. Okay, I mean, kids are, college debt, student debt's over $1 trillion at this point. It's absolutely ridiculous. When you look at healthcare in this country, and when you look at drug prices, the biggest problem is not because lack of regulations; it's because of regulation. That is the main cost driver. When you look at the fact that I'm in New York and see you're in Indiana, if there's a healthcare company in Indiana that I could pay less money towards, I don't have access to it because I'm landlocked or market locked to the 2 or 3 healthcare companies that I have here in New York. And that is the problem. There's no interstate competition. Everybody's regionally locked out in some sort of cartel-like territories. It's the most stupidest thing in the world. If we open things up to competition, if we open things up to the free market, the prices will catastrophically, not catastrophic, but in a wonderful way, crash down to a point where people could afford it. See, do you remember when Invisalign came out for teeth?
Yes,
you remember that?
I do. Yes.
Do you remember how many thousands of dollars that was?
No, remind me.
It was like 5,000-6,000, bro, when it came out. Okay. Do you know what the cost is right now?
No, I don't.
Dude, you can get it done for $80 a month or less.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and it comes out to like maybe $1,000, if that, maybe $600 to $1,000. You remember when LASIK surgery came out?
Oh yeah, that was really expensive.
That was like $3,000 an eye.
Mm-hmm.
An eye. And would you agree with me that the eye is a very valuable organ?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you agree with me that the eye is probably one of the most complex, actually the most complex system in terms of what it can do, probably in your whole entire body in terms of complexity? Would you agree with me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, being that it's extremely complex and extremely vital and it's extremely complicated to operate on, you would think that when LASIK came out, that you would agree that, hey, you know what, $3,000 an eye, yeah, and if you could afford it, and if you had some premium, Cadillac level insurance, which they never covered anyway, but if you could afford it, you'd got it done.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what the cost of LASIK is right now?
What, $500?
Yep, per eye.
Yep.
And if you get and if they'll run some specials, they have payment options. So the question, and also look at cosmetic dentistry. Cosmetic dentistry, remember the teeth whitening? You want to get your teeth whitening done? That was expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a couple $100. If you notice, everything that I just mentioned to you is what's considered outside the realm of typical typical insurance coverage, right?
Right. There's no
everything that I mentioned to you falls into the category of cosmetic surgery, right? And what I've found out, man, is how much the cosmetic surgeries or the non-essential surgeries that they would deem have absolutely fallen in price. Why? Because there's more competition. There's basically it's the free market at play. You're going to get better services, better products at a cheaper price. And then you look at everything else in medicine. Catastrophically expensive. An X-ray, ridiculously expensive. Right? It's cheaper for me to go to one of these centers and pay for an X-ray than having my insurance cover it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then I got to pay the stupid premium and this, that, and the other, and they'll bill my insurance instead of a $100 X-ray winds up being $345. That's how screwed up things are. And these Democrats who are up there, espousing all these ideas, they have no clue of this. And there's only one thing that universal basic income is an abject failure. They tried it everywhere, it's failed. They tried it in Finland, it failed. But that being said, CJ, there's a good valid point. What is going to happen to the low-skilled workers who face the threat of automation? What's going to happen to them? I don't know, Siege. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for automation.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that the low-skilled worker better learn how to code? Maybe. I have no idea. Doesn't mean what I think? Here's a nice idea. Every single robot that's out there should have a percentage of tax that's taken out of its production and paid into a general fund. And that general fund should be a lockbox fund, kind of like the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, right? It'd be a lockbox fund that can't be raided by politicians. And that fund should go into it and possibly pay some sort of a dividend to the American people. Because you got to have some sort of offset for automation. Because if we go automation crazy, then what the hell are people going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, well, did you hear about in Australia? They unveiled a robot, CJ, that can build a home in 3 days.
Wow!
A whole entire 2,000 square foot bi-level home. It can. All they got to do is pour the foundation. The damn robot does the rest. It will build the damn house in 3 days. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So we are heading into a brave new world. We're heading into a complete future that we don't even know exactly what it all is going to entail. Siege, and that's the whole entire thing here. What's going to happen, man? I mean, already you walk into certain restaurants, man. They already have like kiosks in place of
everything. Yeah, everything. Yeah, Yang made a great point out last night in regards to like the self-driving semis that are being piloted right now.
Oh, dude, yeah.
California and Nevada. I mean, think of how many truck drivers would be potentially displaced because of that. And is there enough new technologies, enough emerging industries to offset that in terms of those job displacements? The answer at one time, remember, whenever people, the vets started coming back from the wars and everything, the answer during the Obama term was that everyone goes to college, right? Everyone goes to college. Here's $10,000, just, go to college. And so from that perspective, that because where we are today is that in part was because government has really destroyed the college education and the value of a college diploma. Because when you created a marketplace and you greenlighted and you backed all federal loans for college, you pretty much look at like college tuition. Look at some of the buildings. Like I went to a few college campuses. My son's getting that age, and I'm going around these campuses. I'm like, holy cow! When I went to school, there were like literally holes in the floor, and now they've got all these services and everyone's told the same thing. So yeah, again, I wish there was a simple answer. It's not. But what I do know, is this: is that the people that we appoint in the positions in Washington D.C. do not have the capabilities of resolving these matters. One bit.
Jeez, I mean, you think Creepy Joe 3330 whatever, that idiot has any idea what's going on? Mr. Potato Head, what's his name? Cory Booker. And I like what Mark Dice called Kamala Harris. He called her Camel Toe Harris. Oh my god. It's ridiculous, man.
Well, I think and I think in part, and that's why, like I said yesterday, the systems, I think, good quality people, level-headed people, they want to steer clear of Washington, D.C. completely, right? They're like, I don't want to go sell my soul to the devil to go involve and do some of those things. And, and for so long, it's just been, really treated more as a gravy train that, that going to DC is more like, wealth and ensures your livelihood for the rest of your life. So again, I wish we had better solutions, better options at this time. And hopefully we can get some of these things figured out sooner than later, V.
Absolutely correct, man. Absolutely correct. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, my man, that is the end of the show. I think we covered a quick bit of topics. Not much going else. Not any major things. I mean, we're still monitoring the Middle East situation, and we'll keep you guys abreast of what's going on if anything major pops off. So far, so good. If you guys want to know the inner synopsis from the horse's mouth on what's going on truly in the Middle East, check out the Patreon. And also, guys, check out mycbdedibles.com, mycbdedibles.com for all your delicious CBD goodness.
Hey,
And also,
B,
we're going to try and get W back on
yeah,
probably by the end of this week.
yeah,
buddy.
absolutely. No, I was just going to state too that I know that we have a fairly large audience, and so we, in terms of our company, we have a product design as well. So if you are a restaurant owner, or if you have a particular product that you had considered infusing, with CBD, we do have the manufacturing capability for private labeling, all those kind of good stuff. We can get pretty darn creative with some of the products that we're helping other companies to manufacture and design. So you have something like that, maybe a salsa or a family recipe or something like that. We've had some luck with people bringing it to some of their mom and pop things and infusing it with CBD. So I just wanted to plug that for our manufacturing arm.
Absolutely. And with that being said, folks, we are over and out.